Welcome, everyone, to the Roundtable Podcast. This week, Tanner's the host, and the occasional co-host is Putty. Putty?
I might drop at any point during this call, and for those if this screwed up and you're watching my recording, you hear Tanner go all roboty at the beginning, so this is not a good sign.
And we also have Al. Al's back. Al?
Hello, guys.
Today, we don't really actually want to talk about current events or anything like that.
No, this week's been... just don't.
Bad week. We decided we'd just talk what we know, and that's the Premier League. So, we have a bunch of things we were going to discuss. Where shall we begin? Do we just want to go as a year as a whole kind of review?
Yeah. What have you guys thought? Like, have you been happy with the way it's gone, or have you been like... What have your feelings been about this year's Premier League as opposed to the other ones? Lawnmower.
Al's probably a little bit disappointed. Mine also probably disappointment, simply because...
You guys have no right to be disappointing, because I'm the happy one here, and I finished below both of you.
Yeah, but there was early promise that... late promise for Tottenham, but Everton could have finished in fourth if, they would have drawn 5 less games instead of 15 or 16 or whatever it was they drew this year.
Including the most dramatic 0-0 I've ever seen at Anfield.
Yes. Al, what do you think about Tottenham's place?
I just keep going back to games where they dropped points. All those early season games where they turned victories into draws. That Everton game.
Well, Everton beat them, so...
Yeah, but we were ahead.
In control.
After 89 minutes or something like that, so...
What about the 3-2 at Anfield where your star striker Vertonghen was on fire?
I love Jan Vertonghen. I would let him touch it. Sorry for all the families out there that might be trying to listen to this podcast, but it's a real thing.
I would probably put him in my World 11. He's a very good player.
Yeah, if you're Barcelona... Why not just come in and buy Jan Vertonghen for $35 million? Very little risk. I think we got him for $8 million.
How did you
8
do
million
that
or $11 million?
$8 million.
Same price as Philippe Coutinho.
So Everton drew the most games in the Premier League this year, but also
lost. I just saw a stat that was Liverpool has the second highest clean sheets in the league this year.
Were they a bunch of 0-0 draws?
No. They were the 5-0s and 4-0s against the little teams.
Yeah. See, our problem this year is Everton drew with all the big teams and then lost to, they lost to Reading, they lost to Sunderland, they lost to Aston Villa, and yeah, that's your bottom 6 teams. We lost to 4 of them, so that's good.
I think, we beat Tottenham once, then we lost in the other leg. We lost to United twice. We lost to Arsenal once, and then we drew with the rest of the big teams, and then we lost to a couple of the little teams.
And especially how Everton's season started with that 1-0 Marouane Fellaini over Manchester United, it was just like, right, this is the year, we're getting fourth. And the first 3 results, it was just like, I'm gonna go back and look at the Everton. But we started out 3 wins. We were at the top of the table.
It did look like
it's
going to be your year, yeah.
It was going to be our year. And then we had January and February, which were just awful.
And then there was always that chance, except for the last month, where you just started drawing and dropping points, and it was just a slow and eventual, we're not really going to get there.
Yeah, we drew against Wigan, drew against QPR, drew against Fulham, and we were up 2-0.
Yeah.
It was... What do you guys think about United winning the championship with a month and a half to go, basically?
It's the most disappointing thing about the league for me.
I'll be honest, I didn't care this year. The title race, even from the start, I just didn't care. I really didn't.
I honestly thought City was going to run away with it this year.
I did. I think I did predict at the start of the year United would win it again. And I was the only person who, when I was talking to, did. I had one person who said Arsenal was going to win it this year.
Arsenal will not win for a very long time.
The thing about City and United, they're just, neither of them are really that great at footballing sides. They just have this collection of just awesome talent, but I don't know that they know how to use it all.
think United can. City have got a lot of not a lot of cohesion in that team.
Did Aguero play all that often this year?
He got injured. He was injured halfway through the season.
It felt like
he's barely 100% fit.
The City's leading goal scorer was Edin Dzeko on 14.
Head coach
and like 12 of them came off the bench.
Yeah, like in like the last 10 minutes. And then Aguero at 12. And I mean, he was what, 20-some last year?
12's not a bad turnaround, for an injured player.
I think that's pretty much he scores every time he plays then, I'm guessing.
No, he probably played about 20 times.
Okay, yeah, that's probably true. What about Chelsea and their manager merry-go-round?
I mean, I like Roberto Di Matteo. I don't know that there was that large of a trade-off in getting rid of him, but, the job of a footballing club is to win games, and Rafa Benitez technically succeeded in every goal that was put in front of him.
I mean, he won him a trophy, though, something that they'd been looking for quite some time until last year, and all of a sudden they just kind of kicked him out the door. We did lose Putty there, so it's just you and me now, Al.
Exciting.
I got to get back to my table here. Chelsea was, third? Arsenal fourth?
They finished third. They just went on a run there at the end of the year where, let's see, when was the last time they lost? I believe it's been a while.
Well, they played something ridiculous, like 64 games this year or something.
Yeah, they were. A lot of articles have been pointing out the fact that Mata basically started every single game, and it was a lot of games.
And I mean, they have the squad to do it. When you think of all the players they have, it just seems like they always buy and never sell.
Yes.
I mean, you and me were talking about this before we started the podcast. It's like we never saw Marco Marin really. That was their kind of big summer signing last year. I mean, you saw Victor Moses more, which I thought was a little bit more surprising.
It's true. Yeah, and one of these things with these... Okay, the last time Chelsea lost... Well, I don't know. The last time they lost in the Premier League, they lost to Manchester City in the FA Cup semis. They lost at Ruben Kazan out there in the tundra. Last time they lost in the Premier League. Holy crap. They lost to Manchester City on February 24th.
I was going to say, they have the same amount of losses as Arsenal and Everton, which is 7. So, I mean, it couldn't be all that often.
Yeah. Just kidding. They also lost to Southampton on March 30th.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, yeah. I kind of felt like they had that sort of loss that I was like, well, they're out of the title race. But, what do you think, Al, is your team that you maybe thought at the beginning of the year, you were like, there's no way this team... Did you have a team that you thought were relegated that maybe performed a little bit better?
I was surprised. I was a bit surprised at Southampton, only because they spent some money on some flashy players, but I don't know how functional they were. They bought some attacking talent.
They also fired their manager.
Yes, a manager who I rate rather highly. He was...
was it Nigel?
Nigel Atkins, who I think is a fairly good boss.
I mean, they signed Gaston. I guess that's probably the player that I recognize, but they also brought in, like... who else did they bring in? There was a lot of outs, actually.
That's right. They were helped by the fact that Ricky Lambert, did what he did on a shoestring. They didn't have to sign a striker.
Welcome back, Putty.
Hey, what are you talking about?
We were talking about our surprises for the year. Al thought maybe Southampton. He thought Southampton weren't going to stay up. And then we were just kind of talking about who they signed and maybe whether or not they used them the way we pictured it.
West Brom surprised me.
See, I was going to go... I don't know if it's just because Swansea won the Carling Cup and then just kind of let it go after that, but I'm looking at the table now. I would say the surprise would maybe West Ham in the top 10.
Yeah, I was going to say West Ham as well, but I think West Brom did
West Brom's
really well.
Yeah, 3 more points.
Steve Clark is a good coach. I mean, he's got a ton of experience on his CV.
Yeah.
He's been at a lot of places.
He was the assistant for Mourinho, was he?
Liverpool. Yeah, he was Mourinho, and then he was Kenny Dalglish's last year.
And he has it. I mean, Without Lukaku, though, do you think West Brom does as well?
He didn't start.
But you got to look at his final goal tally is 17.
Yeah.
Their next closest one is Shane Long at 8.
He was definitely an influential part, but I think they do have a good squad.
Yeah.
What about does Odom Wingy? He has to leave this summer, right?
Yeah.
Does he come up to Cardiff sign him? What do you think? Someone coming up from the championship?
He's a tasty proposition.
He's more of a Hull player.
I didn't realize he was quite as old as he is. He's like 31.
He could chip it. I don't think Cardiff need a Premier League striker.
See, that's my problem. Like here in the States, we don't get much championship, so I don't really know that many Cardiff or even who's the other team. I wrote it down. Hull City. From 3 years ago is when they went down. 2 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, with Cardiff and Hull as well, actually, none of them had a player that. Am I still in?
Yeah.
Okay. None of them had a player that reached double digits. None of them. Neither of them.
So it was more of a collective.
It was, but Cardiff in January, I want to say, signed a player called Fraser Campbell. Probably heard of him.
Fraser.
Yeah, and he's done a very good job since he's been there, and he looks very promising.
Yeah, but I mean, Fraser Campbell is what? Former United, former Sunderland, now down to Cardiff. Like, did they sign him or was it a loan deal?
Who knows? It's signed. I'm pretty sure he's been signed.
I mean, I'm always up for.
I thought Joey Barton was transferred to Marseille, and I only recently found out he's coming. Well, he's probably not coming back, but he's allowed to come back.
Let's look. I mean, Fraser Campbell had 7 goals since January. Then I'm looking at their.
I think so. Yeah, it's the way he's had a good goal return, but it's the way he's been playing. You saw him against Hull on the last day of the season. He just has that striker's instinct. I think he'll do well in the Premier League.
And there's an article on ESPN SoccerNet that they are going to spend $25 million on new recruits this summer. Cardiff are.
That'd be about my sum. I don't want to spend any more than that. That's what I
think you see a lot of teams now. That's kind of what they spend is right around that $25 million mark.
Yeah.
And I mean, they obviously sell off some of their weaker players in the squad, and so I mean, you saw a team. I think Reading did that a little bit. I mean, there was teams, or even Swansea maybe that I saw were like, hey, that guy got them up into the Premier League, and now he's down with someone in the Championship where he didn't kind of make the transfer over with the team.
Swansea do have Leon Britton, though, who has been in the club since they were in League 2.
Yeah.
I think there's another player. I think it's Ashley Williams, who's also been in them.
Ashley Williams, why is he not at a better team? Is a great question.
He's a good player. Good player.
He's got a team of the season on Ultimate Team. What, Al?
In the Premier League?
What do you guys think of? What do you think Wigan's players will do? Because they're interesting in that they're in Europe next season. So I'll be interested to see what their retention rate is on their guys. I mean, sorry, I don't know. Like some of their bigger names might be attractive to some clubs, but a lot of their players have been plucked by Martinez from virtually nowhere. So I don't know what their value will be to some of those other Premier League teams.
I'm trying to. I mean, their leading scorer was Aruna Kone.
Oh yeah.
At 11 actually, which I feel like a lot of those were maybe earlier in the year. But would you stick around for European football if you knew you had to play a division down? I mean, you got to think that some of these players are probably making less now, right?
Yeah. But I also think, I don't know, because Wigan can afford to pay more now next season.
With the drop of the parachutes?
Yeah, but also European football.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know if you guys are at all aware of the television deals over here, but ITV is going to pick up Wigan just like they picked up Portsmouth.
Well, and actually, aren't they, there was an article on ESPN SoccerNet today, too, about just the amount of money United made off of TV deals, $93 million just from TV this year.
Honestly, I expect it to be higher than that.
Well, I think starting next year, they were saying it's going to almost triple.
Yeah, I know there's a big deal coming in next year, but $93, that's about 60 quid, right? 60 million quid, obviously. I honestly expect it's more than that.
It says next year that the champions could earn £100 million or $152 million from broadcast deals. But it also said, like, even QPR made $60 million off of it.
Yeah.
So, it all comes down basically to how often your team was on TV, like actual TV, not like match of the day or something like that.
Yeah, I know.
So,
I know.
But
and the Premier League also has prize money, even for 20th. So
yeah, they had that listed too. It was like,
I think it starts off with £5 million and goes all the way up to 60, 80, something like that.
What was it I saw today? I think it was actually less. Like, because of the parachute payments, the teams that get relegated don't make quite as much.
I remember now. I think it's every single position is £700,000 each.
Yes, and
so I think
it
the bottom
goes higher
club
and
gets
higher.
Yeah.
Um,
But I think, going back to the original question, I honestly do believe that a lot of these players will think, all right, I get a year in Europe, I get a year in the lower division, this is only good for my career. This can only go up. I get to impress a Premier League player in the lower division, and we're in Europe. That's more than most of the Premier League can actually say.
But do you view a lot of Wigan's players as Premier League players? Like, if they weren't at Wigan, would you go, oh, I would thought, like, Franco Di Santo to me doesn't seem like a Premier League player.
Their first 18 Premier League players.
I'd be interested to see. But Maloney had, a very strong campaign. I would imagine somebody would take a flyer on him.
Is he? He's Scottish. He's a little bit older. He's 30.
Well, he tried and failed at Liverpool earlier in his career, and so I think people pretty much wrote him off. But he had a nice season. Scored some important goals. Was pretty much the classiest player for Wigan most games.
And they also have James MacArthur too, which is a player that I think a lot of people like.
They also have Callum McManaman.
Well, he's hurt, and of course I'd never heard of him before the FA Cup final or whatever, and to come to find out he was an Everton youth product. Look at that.
Yeah, I know. Liverpool are actually apparently after him.
Oh, could he really join the red side after the blue side let him go? Would that just be like a nice punch in the gut?
His name works.
Of course yeah. Was Steve McManaman?
Yes. I'm trying to think of Everton and Liverpool mismatches over the years. I can't remember.
Jamie Carragher, Steven Gerrard.
Oh yeah. No, I mean people who are involved in the youth setup, not just people who are fans.
Oh, that have left?
Yeah, left and maybe not directly joined, but eventually joined.
What do you think about possible Reading players that leave? They're actually going to be going down. No European football.
Oh, Alex McCarthy. I could definitely see him.
A lot of news about him today. He's a wanted man.
What is he? What position is he?
He's a goalkeeper.
Alex McCarthy.
He was just included in the England setup for these friendlies.
Yeah, there you go.
So that, Jack, what would you estimate if you get called up by England? Does that add like $6 million to your price tag right there? At least to
start. It's a goalkeeper, so $6 million would probably be his price tag.
Yeah,
I would say a couple. For he's probably 3.5, 4, up to 6.
Yeah, I'd say that as well. I'd agree with that valuation. I think they'll probably hold out for 8 if one of the top 10 go for him.
Yeah, there are several teams that could probably use a freshening up in goal.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, looking at the top 10, you have De Gea at United, City have Hart. Chelsea have literally 6 goalkeepers they could bring in.
Courtois and Cech are 2 very good keepers. Exactly. I do think Courtois is better.
Yeah. Tottenham have 6 goalkeepers.
We have the only goalkeeper that matters. Yeah, no, maybe he'll be the Liverpool goalie after Reina goes to Barca.
I could see that.
I don't see Reina going to Barca.
Oh, but he's a Catalan.
I know, but I think Barca would go for someone better, honestly. I think
they could probably do better.
Yeah. Like, I honestly think Courtois would be interested. If the money was there.
Yeah. Everton have been looking for a goalkeeper, every time Tim Howard makes a mistake. So, but we don't ever have a backup.
I honestly, and this is going to be controversial, I think Casillas might be interested.
With
Barca.
With Mourinho out, doesn't that put Casillas back into first?
It probably does, but he's still got a bad taste in his mouth. And we don't know if it was all Mourinho. We don't know if it was... Because the media twisted to be all Mourinho. Maybe he wasn't happy with the maybe there was something inherently with the coaching staff of the directors that just isolated Casillas.
Swansea have Vorm.
Yeah.
West Brom have Ben Foster. Norwich Ruddy. What about Fulham?
Yeah, they might be ready to replace Schwarzer.
Schwarzer is 60.
I do think Schwartzer's got a year or two left in him, though, of good goalkeeping.
What do you guys think about a Newcastle exodus?
I'm excited if it happens, and it'll be really interesting to see. I think Putty and I have already talked about how Pardew's got to stay.
Yes.
But I think they'd
Is he
be
called
better
Chini
off.
going?
I think he is. I think he was linked with a move back to South America, wasn't he?
Yes.
He wasn't. He was massively linked in January.
Yeah, because he was homesick.
Yeah.
But do you think that
Who's that player that came in January? Who's really good?
Moses Sissoko.
I'm thinking of someone else, I think.
Goffran?
Yeah, no. Thinking of someone else. You probably name one more.
I don't have another one. Sylvian Marveau?
It's probably Goofo.
Yanga Mbiwa.
No, I think it was Sissoko. I think you were right, Sissoko.
Sissoko scored did he score 2 goals in Chelsea in his first game or something? He burst
then I
onto the
remember
scene.
him. That's the one.
But if they do sell any of their French Revolution players, do they make money on all these players? And where do they go back to France?
I see everyone in January staying. Seriously. They haven't got... They have a future. They really do.
But didn't they say there was some sort of divide between the French-speaking players and the English base that they have? Your Stephen Taylor and all those sorts of players.
Taylor's gone now. No, he's not now. I'm thinking the wrong person. Who's the goalkeeper who just left?
Steve Harper.
Harper, thank you.
They don't really have that many English players anymore. I mean, you look at what they've done over the last couple of years, and they
have a bloody French day.
Yeah, I mean...
They really do. The fans love the French, though. I think they really do. I think they get really good reception from Newcastle fans.
I would love to see them bring in somebody to work next to Pardew, a French speaker in some form.
That's a good idea.
Actually, yeah, that would be very smart on their part to do. I mean,
Arsene Wenger.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at some of the players Newcastle brought in, maybe last summer, James Perch, was that last summer? They bought him from the Championship.
That was 2 summers ago.
Was it? Dan Gosling, my favorite. That was a while ago, though.
That was 2 summers ago, though.
Yeah, Pepe Cisse somehow.
Good player.
I mean, if they can stick with them and somehow turn around the atmosphere that I at least see that's there, they could. I mean, that'd be a dark horse again if they can do it.
I mean, if you just look at the roster, it's pretty loaded as far as internationals go. Guys who have...
If Pardew can sit down with them now before they go off on holidays, and they say, listen, we've had a bad year, you're still a good squad, we're still in the Premier League, there's a future here, I'll bring in 2 or 3 players, we'll bolster this up, you guys need to start performing, learn the country, learn the style. Next year we're more of a unit, we come back stronger than ever, let's aim for top 6. And see if we can get there.
And hopefully top 6 next year gets you Europe.
Yes, hopefully. Let's hope top 7 gets you Europe next year. I'll be happy to see United travel.
What about the team that finished even on points but up on 1 on goal difference, Aston Villa? Now, they basically just... Benteke took them on his back. And...
I think Aston Villa have a few good key players in there. Ron Vlaar, and I really, really like Andreas Weimann. I really like Weimann.
I think Weimann Benteke is probably one of the few strike partnerships you can point at in the Premier League that actually works. Because Vyman will just run his ass off in the channels and
Nolan Carroll. Nolan Carroll works.
Speaking of, we'll talk. We'll get to Andy Carroll here later on. That is a talking point that I wanted to cover.
It's ugly, but it works. Yeah,
it does work. Yeah.
I mean, when you look at Vyman and Benteke, strike partnership, 26 goals between the two. I mean, that's a pretty good return
on minimal investment compared to what someone.
Remember the Vyman goal against Arsenal, the solo effort?
Yes.
That was the moment that opened my eyes to him, and I think he's a very good player.
Especially when you consider that they just sat Darren Bent on the bench.
Yes, I know.
After basically like October or whatever it was. He only scored 3 goals this year. That is a player that he could go to anywhere else in the Premier League and probably start still. At least from what I remember him being. I mean, obviously I didn't watch him at all this year because he didn't really play all that often. Maybe he's become absolute shit, but...
Yeah, there's obviously a reason why he's on the bench. I mean, maybe something's happened.
I guess so.
I think he offers... I just don't think he offers a ton to the footballing that a side plays. I think he is what he is, and that's a poacher, a goal scorer. And I
like
just
he
don't
was
know.
At Sunderland before they sold him for whatever they sold him for.
Yeah, I just don't think that's what Lambert is really about. He
is. Say, though, Darren Bent at Sunderland was a worse goal scorer than an inflatable beach ball.
I mean, he had some pretty good goal per game stats at Sunderland. I mean, he scored, 21 year?
If you give him the goal that the beach ball scored.
Yes.
Still.
There's the year that they literally lined up 4-4-2, him and Asamoah Gyan up top, and just...
Hey, don't forget my man, Kenwyn Jones. My man! Which... what do you think Stoke played next year? Just a 5-0-5, no midfield, just 5 attacking players? Well, I mean, it's going to depend on who they hire.
Oh yeah.
Because I guess
they will hire Max Allegri.
It was said that Poyet, or however you say his name, was eyeing the job.
Don't let Dino hear you say that.
Why, does he hate? Oh, because, yeah.
Brighton, yeah.
Or maybe it was Roberto Martinez. I mean, obviously every manager that's out of job is going to be linked with these sorts of places. But
I think Mark Hughes and Roberto Di Matteo might be... Mark Hughes is a good shout. Mark Hughes, there's
a reason why Mark Hughes hasn't stayed at a job for more than a year.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hughes should have to go to soccer manager jail for 1 year after what he did at QPR. He spent all their money, gave them absolutely nothing.
Well, he did it's not like he doesn't have a history of it. Look at what he did at City.
What he does is he comes in, he spends the money, and he passes it on to a much better manager.
Like Harry Redknapp.
Or Roberto Mancini.
Yeah, or Roberto Mancini. QPR. What went wrong with QPR?
They bought too many players.
The classic, we brought too many players in and we can't gel.
This isn't our squad anymore. Yeah, I think that's exactly the problem. They bought too many. They did overspend, but I think if they had overspent on 2 players and brought in 2 £40 million strikers, they would have been fine. But they bought 6 players, or probably more first-team players that it didn't work.
So if you look at who they signed, Bosingwa, Fabio, Mbia...
Barton? Did they buy when they came up?
Nedamanua, Samba... That's all this year, right?
All right, that's this year. Okay, I'm talking over the last 2 years.
Diakite, Granero, Junior Hoylett, Jermaine Genius, Park Ji-sung, and now on to forwards. DJ Campbell, who Townsend? They just loaned out.
Townsend, they got on a loan deal.
Oh, yes, Andros Townsend. Andy Johnson, Laurie Gremy, and Bobby Zamora. All bought within, the last year and a half?
That is a ridiculous list of mediocre Premier League footballers.
And you got to think they paid $10 million for Andy Johnson, $10 million for Bobby Zamora. They bought DJ Campbell. Now, if DJ Campbell couldn't make it at Blackpool, do you think he's going to make it?
For a team that's battling relegation, Jermaine Genius, Chris Samba, Andros Townsend, Granero. No, wait, like Remy. Those 4 signings are very good. The rest of them,
I mean,
it's a bit too much.
You got to think what sort of contracts they're giving each one of these guys.
Oh, yeah. Sam makes more money than anybody at Liverpool. I know that.
Yeah, he's on like £110 a week or something ridiculous. Which,
what
I mean, they had to match what he was making at Anzi, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
But,
which Anzi is another one who paid... Like, Eto'o is the highest paid footballer?
Yeah, I mean, he makes like, what, $4 million a month or something ridiculous?
I think it's a bit less than that in pounds.
That was a bit of exaggeration.
So QPR, like, between... They have all these players, they don't match, then they get a red card about every other game. I think Samba Diakite gets sent off pretty much.
It's getting better now that Barton's gone to France, though.
Yeah.
They're still playing Clint Hill and Ryan Nelson at center back some games.
Ryan Nelson is the manager of Toronto FC.
He was a center back
until he left. That is true.
It's just not a good. It's not a recipe for success.
I'll say this though, that's a terrible recipe for success in the Premier League. But that is probably a very, very good squad to destroy the championship.
Yeah.
And that could be a bonding experience.
Who isn't Wolves close to relegation in the championship this year?
I think they've been relegated.
Oh yes, they have. They went down last year, didn't they? Back to back.
From the Premier League, yeah.
Yeah, so that was back to back. Yikes.
It took them the same amount of time to get from the Premier League to League One as it took Southampton to get from League One to the Premier League.
What players do you guys see leaving QPR? Realistically.
Samba. I see Samba going for definite. I think Remy will go.
Well,
Remy's going to get deported.
No, Remy was cleared, I think.
Oh, he was. Thank God.
I think he was cleared. Sterling has definitely been cleared.
I would like to see Junior Hoylett go somewhere that actually is decent.
Yeah.
I mean, he did well for Blackburn.
Will stay. I think Genius will stay.
Genius will stay. Tarapt?
Oh, Cesar will definitely go.
Oh, well, he's already said, yeah, he's done. I mean, they have Robert Green still. I mean, there's your...
I think Green will stay, and I think he'll be a very good player next year.
There's your championship goalie. I mean,
there's your mid-table Premier League goalie, for God's sakes.
Yeah, he did enough for West Ham, at least a little bit.
I could see Tarapt going abroad.
I think he probably needs... He's an English base player, like he's been in England for a long time.
Yeah, he came up in the Spurs system.
Ah, yes.
Honestly, I think a lot of people are disregarding something here. They're reserves, the players you barely ever see in the Premier League now. Not even the big name signings, just the little players, the little QPR products that are still on probably huge contracts. I bet a couple of them will go.
See, that's where I wouldn't know very many of them.
I don't know any of them, but I bet you anything, 10 players that didn't start a Premier League game this year are on more money than most of the Premier League.
Who owns QPR? Is it
it's the someone person that owns an airline.
Oh, I thought it was someone in F1.
You might be.
Because there was something on Netflix where it was like they just looked at like the owner of QPR when they were in the championship right before they were relegated, and I could have swore it was someone in F1 or Formula 1.
I'll find out his name now. He owns a very large airline.
Now that we've talked about pretty much every team but Norwich, speaking of Norwich, Al, you didn't see the tweet that Grant Holt tweeted out, but it was something like, worst team in the Premier League, still up and still has me as their striker or something ridiculous. I'm going to look it up. But it got a follow out of me.
I love the atmosphere at Carrow Road, and I love the fact that we always do so well there. Like I'm always happy when we go to Carrow Road.
I remember they went on that ridiculous run during like the middle of the season where they were like in Europe. The only team who had a better points haul in like a 10-game span was Barcelona, and they were just like in heaven.
Did you guys know Anton Ferdinand is on contract at Norwich? Not Norwich, QPR.
Yeah, I knew that.
There's a lot of players that contract at QPR. Like it's just a laundry list of like people who played in the Premier League.
I didn't know Cisse was out on loan.
Yes, in like Saudi Arabia or something ridiculous.
Yeah, Al Garafa or something like that.
Yeah. Here's the Grant Holt tweet. So the worst team in the EPL finishes 11th, and greedy Grant Holt got 8 goals. Just shows opinions are like assholes. We all have one. It got me to follow him, so good for him.
I'm looking at QPR's squad right now, and it is ridiculous.
Right?
I know. I didn't think it was this bad.
They just like 60 players.
They bring in people, and they just don't bother. They're like, we'll just stockpile with loads of former Premier League players that aren't going anywhere.
Well, see what I mean? Mark Hughes needs to go to some form of jail.
Well, here's a great player that
the sad thing is they have more English players than most of the top 4.
The sad thing that QPR did is they let go one of the best center backs that probably should have been starting for them the whole entire year. Tel Ben-Aim.
Oh, yeah, I saw him.
He should have been starting the whole entire year. How they have him on the books at probably 90 grand a week is just ridiculous.
Tony Fernandez.
Yes, Tony Fernandez.
And the Metal family. They're 66 and 34%. Air Asia. How did I forget all of this?
So let's move on to what we thought, or what we could possibly think of Andy Carroll staying at West Ham. Under Sam Allardyce, might I point out.
I'm torn heavily as a Liverpool fan, obviously.
Oh, because you guys spent $50 million on him, and you're going to probably sell him for 10.
No, I know what the figures are currently at. It's 35 in, 15 out. The money, we were always going to take a loss eventually. It was never going to be a profitable deal. But it's the player, because I actually had high hopes for him at the beginning of the year. And he's proven to be right throughout the year.
I liked him at Newcastle. I was just sad to see him go. I mean, obviously, Newcastle had to sell him for that money, but...
Yeah.
I think he's
a player.
Go on, Putty, sorry.
Go ahead. Alright, sorry. As a player, I think I like him. I really like him. He's a great player. He fits. I don't know. Other people say, the football that like Wigan, Arsenal, Liverpool, Swansea, Barcelona play, that's really good to watch. I love seeing crosses come off. I really do. I love seeing crosses get to a head of an attacker. I just love seeing that.
You like the Route 1 stuff.
I do. I think it looks nice to me. I don't know.
Which is why, I think Andy Carroll next year at West Ham scores full. Like, he was hurt this year most of the year, was he not? I mean, he had 7 goals this year. I'd put him in the 14-15 mark if he plays the whole entire year next year.
I would definitely.
Like I'm saying, as a player, I like him, but now that I know he's gone, I can honestly say he doesn't fit the style of football.
I mean, ever since Rodgers came in, no, he didn't. He can't pass worth anything.
He never did. He never did. But Kenny tried to make him fit by buying Downing and players like that, and he just doesn't fit there with those type of players. It just doesn't work.
He's a player I feel like who's suffered so much from the fact that he's English, and that at one point in time he was bought for £50 million. He's a good player. He was never going to be worth that. For that money, you should be a game changer. You should be, winning it with a solo effort, and that's not what Andy Carroll is. I think that little stability at West Ham, 14 Premier League goals next year, and he's a decent guy. Still young. Still got plenty of time to make something of himself.
Yeah, he's got about 6 years to turn into a prime player.
West Ham also signed Romanian captain yesterday, Razvan Rot.
Yes,
Shakhtar.
I've been looking at him for a good year.
Is he a little
Not
bit
extensively.
older?
I think he is, yeah.
But he's a defender?
He's a left
back.
Yes,
he's centre back. I thought he was a centre back.
I'm not sure.
He drifts.
Yeah, most
Shakhtar. They play total football.
There is a good guy at Shakhtar that I love, and his name is Taras Stepanenko.
I love some. I'm not even going to try to say his name from Shakhtar. Or maybe he's not from Shakhtar. But he's Ukrainian. That's why I can't say his name. But he's a striker, obviously. That's why I love him.
Andrei Shevchenko.
Oh, no. Believe me, I'm a big Shevchenko lover. But, he's a politician now.
Oh, yeah. Doesn't he still play on the side for Dynamo Kiev, though?
I haven't actually kept up. After the Euros and he said he was going to go into politics, I was done with him.
Oh, Shevchenko.
At one point in time, Tanner was considering buying a Shevchenko uniform.
It was going to be like a throwback, because I was at work one day and someone had a Milan Shevchenko kit on, and I was like, in Nebraska someone has that jersey, and then I had to get one, obviously. But
I have never had a kit with the name on the back.
see, it's kind of bad luck for me because I have a Joe Everton one, and I have a Yakubu Everton one, and I have a Fellaini Everton one, which only means he's out this summer, surely.
God. I was close to getting Torres. I'm glad I didn't. Never had one. Never.
Well, you know who I'm actually probably, when Everton's little jersey sale goes on this year and it's free shipping to the U.S., I'm going to get a Morales one, I think, probably. A Morales black one.
I'm not going to get the new Liverpool kit. I don't like it.
What color are they?
It's still red. It's the same kit with pinstripe with a ingrained, it says Liverpool like deep down into the shirt. It's got, the shirt looks nice, but I don't like the stripe. It's got like a black and white stripe around the collar and the arms. If you watched the last game of the season where they were wearing it. I like the goalkeeper's kit though. I might get that. It's white with black pinstripe.
Remember that one time Everton had a camouflage goalkeeping kit? That was
Yes, I do.
They tried to revolutionize the goalkeeping kit. They won't be able to see you in the goal. Instead of the Petr Cech just wearing neon yellow so that your eyes stick right to the goalie or whatever it was behind that.
I think Liverpool should have an Everton kit as their away kit to confuse people.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Wait, it was a couple years ago, didn't Liverpool wear like a dark blue for like an alternate or an away kit?
I only remember green, yellow, and white as our.
I could have remembered that, like, for an alternate they wore over here in the States, it was like a dark blue, and like all the Everton fans were like, "Oh, finally switched to blue," and it was just like.
At the start of the season, when United announced their third kit, their blue one, a lot of people were up in arms about it because of City. They really were.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams.
I think that's.
Well, even Cardiff, when Cardiff switched their color to red, when they've been traditionally blue, and they changed the crest and everything.
That's a home kit, though. That's different. You know, your away kit, it doesn't really matter that much. Your away kit
can be any color.
Your home kit is your color, you know? But I think that makes it easier because then local rivals can always play in their home color. Because it's always awkward when you see, like... trying to think. Damn it. There was one. Can you guys think of it? No, they have to wear their away kit in a derby, and I don't like that.
Oh.
Trying to think. Sure, it's a London derby, but I can't think which one it is.
There's going to be less London teams in the Premier League next year.
There are. Just
is
one.
Is Reading in London?
No, it's in Reading.
Oh. Wasn't Reading a suburb of London?
No. Yeah. I think it's on the other side of the country. Not sure. I think it's on the far west. I'm probably wrong.
What do you guys think about the current Wayne Rooney situation, if you've read up on the news as of 5/22?
I think he's staying.
You think he's staying, even though reportedly he's in contract talks with PSG at the moment?
Yes.
You know, I would be surprised to see him go, but at some point in time, it seems fairly certain that Wayne Rooney is no longer going to play for Manchester United.
It seems like, it becomes like a yearly thing where it's like, oh, and it's time for Wayne Rooney to say he doesn't want to be here anymore. Better throw 20,000 more a week at him.
But that kind of thing went on with Gerrard from 2002 to 2006. There was a Chelsea deal on the way every week. And I don't know. I don't know. If Andreas Lindengard can get a winner's medal this year, I don't think Wayne Rooney needs to leave. Do you know what I'm saying?
It'll be interesting, I think, to see how he reacts being under David Moyes again. I know like they had patched the relationship and that sort of thing, but I think it'll be interesting to see. That's actually probably one of my top 5 stories, I think, for next year. I mean, obviously the David Moyes thing, which someone else actually tweeted this, was the title of this saga is going to be called The Damned United 2.
Oh, that reminds me. I wanted to say this on the podcast. If you are in the UK or have access to BBC iPlayer, The Damned United is on iPlayer right now.
I own it. Bought it at Actually, I was really surprised. I bought it at a Hollywood Video. They were going out of business for 50% off for like $3.
Yeah, I've got it as well. I'm just saying, I saw an iPlayer and I watched it the other day. Just
don't you think that would be really like? It'd be really ironic though if Moyes was out by October and he's just kind of sitting out there, and Everton are maybe struggling halfway down the table.
You're dreaming. He's gone forever.
Until I see him on another touchline, he's not gone. Okay. My whole Everton life has been David Moyes.
Wait, Moyes is gonna go. He is gonna leave. I think he's gonna leave by the end of September, and he's gonna go to Nottingham Forest. He's gonna get them to the Premier League. He's gonna get them in top 4. He's gonna win the European Cup twice in a row.
Oh, so this is literally following the same story, eh?
Yes. I did see that final the other day, the 1980 one against Hamburg.
I actually really like the Damn United movie.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite movie. It's a really, really good movie. It really is. I love that actor as well.
The other question
Michael
I had
Sheen.
from Twitter responses: the possible Mourinho return to Chelsea.
I feel, again, I don't think it's going to happen.
Really? Who do they go and get?
I don't know. Maybe Max Allegri. But in all honesty, though, he probably will. Everyone seems to think, it's a sure deal, but he probably will. But I don't think it's good for him. I really don't.
I mean, what changes? Didn't he have a problem with the board and Abramovich? Isn't that why he left in the first place?
He got sacked, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was because he was not getting along with Abramovich. That's nothing's changed.
It's the same two guys going back to hang out again together. Like, you're like fire and I'm gasoline.
Here's what I would do if I was Mourinho. I would either take a year off completely, or I would take a year or two in Porto again.
After Pereira becomes the Everton manager?
Sure, whatever you want.
I'd rather see him take the Portugal job right now.
Portugal job, yeah, that's something I could
Which
see
he
as well.
always said he wanted to do.
It's not open, but I mean...
But if he goes to Porto, everyone speaks the same language, everyone knows who he is, everyone treats him like a hero. The thing is, I know he can speak good English, and I know he can
7 languages.
he speaks really good in a lot of languages. But I don't know, maybe it's just me looking as an outsider. If you're always thinking about speaking a different language to people, it just has a subconscious level of a little tiny bit of extra stress added to everything. And I think if he's there, he's in his natural element, he's in his home, he's treated as a hero, there's no egos there. Well, there are, but most of them will herald Mourinho as a hero. He'll have the team to do whatever the hell he wants to, and nobody will question him. And there's no pressure in that job. And he needs to reinvigorate his passion in football. And so I think he needs to...
I would love to see him take a year, just take it off like Pep has done. I just don't think he'll do that. Because he's the type of person that wants to be in there all the time, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's become such a sideshow, though. I mean, how much of what you heard about Real Madrid this year was even about the team?
It is mostly like who Mourinho had kicked out of training for doing... It's just like... I mean, that's obviously what he likes. He likes to be... I mean, that's why he does all those press conferences the way he does. He's the special one.
Yeah, and he sent Casillas to do a press conference after a Champions League match. As the manager.
Yep.
Like, he sent Casillas to do the manager's press conference. Is he unplayed?
To be fair, like, Chelsea are eventually going to run out of top 15 talented managers they can give a job to. Like,
they already have. Rafa Benitez is not top 15.
But I mean, like, eventually people are going to be like, actually, you know what? I changed my mind. If you're going to go to Chelsea, you're going to say, all right, if you fire me, you have to give me $20 million, kind of like Roberto Mancini did. He had a release clause of $20 million. So he's getting paid $20 million, and then he's going to go manage another team and make $5 million this year. Like, I would take the Chelsea job if they're going to give me $15 million to leave in September.
I would. But not only that, if you come in January, you've got a really good shot of taking something for your CV.
Yeah, literally. Rafa Benitez probably added $2 million to whoever has to hire him next because
he wasn't doing anything else.
Yeah. And don't tell me it was that hard of a job.
I mean, the players are there. It's really just...
I will say with Chelsea, the players were really good.
Oh, yeah.
Benitez came in. I was not suspecting that bunch of egos to gel with him as well as they actually did.
I'd like to say this right now. Put me on record. I don't care who's managing Chelsea next year. They're going to win the title.
I'll write that down right now.
They have a tasty bunch of players. I would love to see them. Love to see them bring in another center back so they could just tell John Terry to go start selling. Yeah, just see ya.
Start selling crack in the parking lots like he used to.
That team plus Fellaini is gonna be awesome.
Fellaini.
Chelsea have had the best squad in the Premier League, in my opinion, since around 2005. Squad on paper, they've only won one title or two, maybe. You know, they've always got a really good squad and a lot of money to boost it, but they've never got that little special something, you know. Which Mourinho could add.
I mean, is that just the managers only having 4 months?
It could be.
I mean, if they don't get that initial spark, they're already under the microscope. I mean, there's tons of pressure in taking that job.
You've got Roberto Di Matteo, Chelsea legend, comes in, wins the biggest trophy in football, and is still only given 4 months, and he was second in the league.
And it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Abramovich, do what you want with your money, man, but if there's one thing to be learned from Sir Alex Ferguson and Manchester United, it's that stability is still a real thing when it comes to success. And
definitely,
I would just love to see somebody just take that roster with that attacking talent, just 5 years, win 3 European Cups. Could be awesome.
You can look at stability in United, like you said, but you can also look even lower than that, like at not a shorter term distance. Everton have been progressing for the last 10 years.
I mean,
Arsenal have been stable. Even Stoke have been progressing.
Tony Pulis
since
7
Tony
years.
Pulis.
And I mean, if you look at where Everton were when David Moyes take over the job, relegation zone to where he is now. I mean, challenging somewhat for European places.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, it's an 11 years, but you also have less of a budget. I mean, you have probably a lot less money to spend every year than Tony Pulis has.
He's been doing it. He's been doing it for a long time. I mean, he's been challenging for European for a long time. I mean, in 2005, if it wasn't for Liverpool winning the title, the European Cup, Everton would have been in the European Cup because they came fourth above Liverpool.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But I mean, if you look at Chelsea, I mean, me and Al, we were talking about this earlier. You never really saw Marco Marin. They're going to add Schürrle to their squad. I mean, like, there's a lot of attacking talent on that team. They just need
a striker. They do need a good, solid target man striker.
Yeah, I don't even think they need a top striker as much as they just need a guy who can give them 15 goals.
Darren Bent.
Darren Bent is a tasty prospect. I don't think that will ever happen, but
no.
They just need somebody to be there to tap it in when Mata squares it.
Andy Carroll.
Yeah.
Which, if you look at it, I'm sure a lot of these were off penalties, but Chelsea's leading goal scorer this year in the Premier League was Frank Lampard.
It was all penalties. Most of them.
I mean, I'm sure a large majority of them were, but I mean, Mata's second at 12, but Fernando's at 8, but he scored, 20 goals this year if you count one of the...
He scored, I think he scored 36 in the Europa League, which they were in for 2 months. I'm kidding.
But I mean, me and Al, we were talking about this before too. Chelsea played, 64 games this year?
9. I know, it's 69.
That is a lot of games.
They could have played 70 if they finished, because they were very close to finishing equal on everything with Arsenal. They were very close. They could have had to play a Champions League third place playoff to decide who went in the group stages.
They're a little bit old in defense, which would go with what you said, Al. I mean, Ivanovic is a little bit older.
He's still solid.
He's still in his prime.
I was still surprised to see Paulo Ferreira still on that team. Wasn't he on the team when Mourinho was first there?
He just had his last game the other day. Lampard was out on the field being MC after the game, telling the fans to have one more round for Paulo Ferreira, club legend.
I mean, and let's see, Cashly Cole, who I hate when people say he is England's best left back.
He's still good.
He's good, but he's not the best left back in England.
Been the best left back for the last 10 years.
Oh, please.
Over the last 10 years.
Okay, over the last 10 years, I'll give you that. But no one created more opportunities to score this year than one left back in the whole Europe.
Leighton Baines is out of this world. I'll admit that. I've seen him this season. Every time I've seen him, very, very, very good player.
He's a machine.
He played every single minute this year.
Oh, Steven Gerrard was so close to that, and then he had to have a shoulder operation, and he had 2 games out. He hadn't been substituted before then.
But what sort of center back do Chelsea need?
Matt Hummels.
Jan Vertonghen.
You're really trying to pimp out Jan.
They need somebody who will not go forward.
Like David Luiz. Like, they have David Luiz listed as a defender, but they basically just use him to sit right in front of
I think they're pretty well got it figured out, though, that they play that 2 center defense.
So, see, the problem with those managers is I would like to see them all manage Everton, but I don't want it to be their first job in the Premier League. You know, like Duncan Ferguson, sure, he'd probably be a great manager. Phil Neville, sure, he'd probably be a great manager.
Jamie Carragher?
Jamie Carragher should be in maybe some Sunday leagues first before he makes the step, but...
Wait, Jamie Carragher is at the same experience level as Phil Neville.
I would agree, yeah. But we were going
Jamie Carragher's going to be a Sky Sports pundit anyway, he's already signed a contract.
All right. Well, I think... Oh, no, Phil Neville hasn't yet.
How are people going to understand him?
I know, right?
I'm sure it'll be a Liverpool-based broadcast.
No, it's Sky Sports. That's at least UK, probably Europe, and possibly even North America.
So after that little debacle we just had, we wanted to cover as a last point and topic who we want our favorite team, Al's Tottenham, Putty obviously Liverpool, and me Everton, to sign as our one summer signing and why. I will let the other 2 go first.
I realize we're literally, in terms of the teams we support, right next to each other on the table.
Yeah, literally, 4th, 5th, and 6th, or 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Mm-hmm.
So, mine's a little bit more difficult, I believe, than your 2, but Al, go ahead and give us your signing.
This is ideal, it's not going to happen, I want Tottenham to sign Mario Mandzukic after he gets thrown out the door by Pep Guardiola.
Mm-hmm. I can see that happening.
Just a hard-working striker, works his socks off, scores, simple enough goals, and would be able to finish some of the chances, which went begging this year, with Manuel Adebayor just fucking wanking off on his $120,000 a week, doing nothing. Yeah, they'll probably sign David Villa instead, who will score 9 goals, 7 of them will be spectacular, and people will call it a success, but that's what I would like to see.
Putty?
I'd like to see 45.5 million spent on the beach ball. No. I think we are going to spend too much on Tom Ince and somebody else, but the person I'd like to see, same as you, Al, it's ideal, it's not going to happen. Simon Kjaer. I'd love to see Simon Kjaer. He's my ideal centre-back replacement.
You know what is really interesting about Simon Kjaer? I thought he was close to 30.
He's pretty young, isn't he? Like 24?
22.
22.
He's literally played for 5 clubs already at the age of 22.
He's in the Danish... I think he's in the Danish first team, too.
Yeah, exactly.
He's strong. He's good on the ball. He's a solid, hard-working defender. He speaks the same language as Daniel Agger. And he fits into that defence, and I like him. And he's probably available for 10 million if we spent it.
Let me look up how much Wolfsburg... Where is he at now?
I don't know.
He was Werder, went to Roma, back to Wolfsburg? Was that how?
I thought he was still at Roma. But I probably
No,
not.
Wolfsburg. He's at Wolfsburg now.
Do you know how much they spent on?
I am on his page. Oh, he was loaned from Wolfsburg to Roma for a year, and then he's returned.
Okay.
Roma paid 10 million.
Oh, what euros?
That would have been before the Euros and the transfer.
No, 10 million euros.
Oh yeah, Euros.
Yeah. Okay. I'd love to see Simon Kjaer. That's my ideal sign in the summer. A top quality winger is also required. But
you mean Stuart Downing or Jordan Henderson aren't?
There aren't real. That's not a real thing in the world anymore. There are no top quality wingers.
Well, there's Ronaldo and Messi and Di Maria and Bale. I could go on. But I'd like to. Tom Ince might fit that role. I don't want top quality as if like he can go down on a wing and beat his player every time. I just mean somebody who can touch the ball and not lose it every single time. Joe Allen.
But he's 100% passer.
How? Every time he gets the ball, he loses it. I've not seen him complete a pass this year.
My ideal signing for Liverpool would be for them to bring back Andrea Desena.
I would like to see Xabi Alonso come back, which is heavily rumoured apparently. I would like that.
I think it's my turn for my player. And I would just like us to sign Marouane Fellaini.
You want John Shelby?
That's cheating. You can't say a player's literally already on the team.
If we keep him on the team, we keep the lifeblood of the team. Although
he's already signed. He's got a contract that's longer than this summer.
Yeah. No, I mean he's signed until like 2017. But see, the problem with me is I don't know who the manager is, and
if you were the manager,
neither do we.
If I was the manager at Everton Football
boys might go to Chelsea.
If I was the manager at Everton Football Club, I would sign this has been the quest of David Moyes for like the past 7 years. Sign a right-sided player. And that's tough. Because with Fellaini moving on, I think Morales moves into where Fellaini was, right behind the striker. And I think with a new manager, I think Nikica Jelavic probably comes back to the goal-scoring form that he was at. He's not stranded probably quite as much. I don't know. But we need a right-sided player, and we need, after we sell Johnny Heitinga this summer, we need a center-back.
Right-sided player. English, maybe. Used to play for Sunderland.
No, don't ever say Adam Johnson.
No, I wasn't thinking of it. I was thinking of Stuart Downing.
Oh, no.
Stuart Downing.
Johnson might be a good signing for Everton. I might take Johnson for Liverpool.
Sunderland bought Johnson for £10 million last year. Like, what the hell? Honestly,
I do think he's a good youth prospect.
What do you think of a signing as Ross Barkley? He'd be a good signing.
I haven't seen enough of him.
I don't know. I want to see the new manager use a lot more of the youth. I mean, Shane Duffy played great last year for January and February when we didn't have any center backs left. My signing would be youth players. There you go. One last thing. Who's going to Chelsea, City, and Everton? Who?
And no whys, just names. Don't even explain it.
What?
The new managers of Chelsea, City, and Everton.
Chelsea's Mourinho. I can't really look past it.
No whys. Just 3 names, Tanner.
Yep.
Mourinho, Pellegrini, since it's already agreed. Everton. I want to see style played. Pereira, Porto. There you go. There's my 3.
Should I go next?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about... How about Mark Hughes, Max Allegri, and Jamie Carragher? Man City, Chelsea, Everton. No, wait. Chelsea, Man City, Everton.
Mine would be Abramovich, Sven-Goran Eriksson, and Roberto Martinez.
There you have it, folks. Put your money on all of those people to take over the jobs at the respected clubs.
Make sure you put money on me to get the United job, and make sure so Moyes dies, and me and Howard Webb have got to get a battle to get the United job.
So yeah, I guess that's the end of this podcast. Stay tuned for next week. Do we want to give a word, Putty?
Yes, but first of all, you need to blame Al because he's got to go watch a non-football game.
It's his football. Well, I don't know. He probably watches soccer just as much as he watches baseball.
The word this week, if somebody's made it through all this, is you need to spell out Max Allegri's full name.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Toodles, folks. Talk to you next week.